Hey!
Love it.
Kat, is that the first time you've seen the intro?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Yeah. We always get a good laugh at it, to be honest.
Yeah, it does make me giggle. Right, so hello everybody, welcome to Free to Talk. You will see another face with Owen and I today. We would like to welcome Kat. Hello, Kat.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Right, so before we begin, I think, Kat, what's your name? Where do you come from? What's your favourite colour?
Cat, my favourite colour? I don't actually know.
Oh,
That's rainbow.
Rainbow.
Can I say rainbow?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. Is there any reason you're saying rainbow? Perhaps is it
because it's gay? It's gay.
Because it's gay. Okay, fair enough. Because it's gay and happy, and we love it.
Yes.
So Kat, we've been invited you to Free to Talk TV because you've been working with Free to Talk for a little bit. How about you just tell us a bit about what you've been doing and what you've been up to?
Well, I've only really been sort of doing cover, so I've sort of seen a bit of everything, really. I've done forest school, I've done the detached sessions, I've actually gone to groups. So yeah, it's all really fun. I've been able to see areas of Northampton that I would have not have normally seen.
Excellent. Just to add on, we've just had our first comment. We do love that. Hello. Yes,
hello.
So if you're just joining us, please give us a like. Please give us a comment just to say hello, and I can put your comments up in real time. Yeah. So you've enjoyed the forest schools, Kat?
Yes, it has made my coat permanently smell of smoke.
Do you know what? Wood smoke is not a bad smell, though. I used to really like it.
It's lovely, to be honest. I miss it.
Makes me feel like I'm a proper woodsman, I think.
Or an
outdoorsman, yes.
An outdoorsman and a wood geek.
Wood geek, I like that. Wood geek.
Yeah, quote of the week. Wood geek.
No. From now on, if you do you know any tree surgeons? They're not tree surgeons anymore. Wood geeks.
Yeah.
Wood geeks. Anyway. Dear. Right. So we are Free to Talk TV. Kat is possibly going to be joining us on a semi-permanent basis because Kat has had to go home to Nottinghamshire. Because you have been a student in Northampton for a little bit, haven't you? Is it just your first year or is it second year?
Third year.
Third? Okay, third. I'm way off. You just look so young in comparison to my old crinkled face. Just assume everyone's so much younger. So yeah, well, hopefully when we get back to some normality, and like for me, for instance, I'm allowed out. I really want to come to the forest schools as well, and that's looking like the new year for me. We'll get through Christmas and then we're there. But yes, but on a semi-permanent basis, you'll be here with us. So Free to Talk TV, as this is Kat's first time, we talk about the news, we talk about events in and around Northampton. Owen's just frozen and had to come back in. I love technology, me. It's great. So, I mean, I kind of invited Kat on a permanent basis, but it's kind of happened with some news of this week because Kat does LGBTQI work, don't you, Kat, with another organisation, Lowdown?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and you come on kind of to help Free to Talk with some of our stuff because, I mean, a lot of our groups do contain, say, young people that decided to change their name because of how they identify, maybe considering going through transitions or all that kind of stuff. So the news this week has been about the ruling on puberty blockers. So for those that don't know what puberty blockers are, so the idea for that is for a young person that decides they want to transition into another sex, they can take puberty blockers to obviously prevent their normal body going, no, you're going to be a male, you're going to be female, blah blah blah. So then at a later date can transition. But the judgment that went out on Tuesday said that basically anyone under the age of 16 can now not take puberty blockers because they're not considered mature enough to be able to make that kind of decision. So that's how we're going to start. To the questions, Kat, what's your thoughts?
It annoys me so much.
Okay.
It really does annoy me because I'm non-binary myself. Questioning it, but I'm non-binary myself, and that means that I neither identify as a man or a woman. And I think if I had known about being LGBT, because in school for me it wasn't really talked about, and I feel that if I had known about it and known about the opportunities that were available, I would have taken up those opportunities. And for a lot of young people, it's not just about changing sex or changing gender, it's about feeling comfortable within yourself. That then affects like schoolwork, their home life, their mental health, their physical health. It's not just changing from one gender to the next. And I work with a lot of young people, not just with the Lowdown, but with Free to Talk as well, where they feel that they are transgender, non-binary, and that being deprived of these choices has a very negative effect on them. So it annoys me as a professional and personally as well.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, do you mind if I ask when you realise within yourself at what kind of age?
So I realised when I was 18. It was the end of college, so it was before I actually came to university. And what happened was I originally come from Somerset, and when I accepted my offer at Northampton, my family were like, well, great, we'll move up with you. So they moved to Nottinghamshire. But before I moved, a couple of months before I moved, I was questioning my gender. And I had a lot of support from my college and one of my trans friends, who introduced me to the world of LGBT, because, like I said, school was no help at all. So I first realised it sort of mid-2018 before coming to uni. So it's been a journey the past couple of years.
Right, I bet it has. I mean, Owen, what about you? I mean, do you know anybody through college who identifies as non-binary or transgender?
I do. I've met one. I think it's just mainly one person that I definitely know of. That I think that at the moment they're sort of the same as Kat. Like they're non-binary. Like I think I don't know how it exactly works, but I think they just either one day they feel like they are male, one day they feel like female. I'm not exactly sure how it works with them, but I do know of one person.
Okay. I mean, maybe they're trying to work it out within themselves, and they're still going through that journey. I mean, Kat, I mean, do you feel that your journey has ended? Is it still ongoing, or?
It's still ongoing. I'm questioning myself every day.
Yeah, and do you know what? There's nothing wrong with questioning yourself, to be honest.
Exactly.
Until you feel comfortable.
I agree with that.
I mean, just to get into the news a bit more. I mean, this has come because of a 23-year-old named Kira Bell, who basically he was a former patient and has argued that she had been too young to consent to the medical treatment overseen that began her female to male transition as a teenager. So, I mean, this is where it's come from. So, because this one instance of this person who's now older regretting their decision, is now obviously having a knock-on effect for all young people. But I mean, I know you're kind of really upset by this, Kat, and I've mentioned this earlier that it's caused a lot of debate within youth worker circles. But I'm kind of, for once, I'm actually on the fence. I'm not going either way, because I don't know. I know it's this one instance of this person regretting their decision, but I don't know how I feel about. I mean, it says in most cases of under 16s, most cases, so they still will review it on a case by case basis. But I've got to say, in myself, when I was 16, I didn't know my bum from my elbow, really. So, let alone coming to forming identity. So I don't think I was emotionally mature or knowledgeable enough to kind of make that decision. So maybe it is better to delay it. I mean, you can argue. Please argue against me.
Well, it's like a cis person cisgender being somebody who identifies with the sex and gender they were assigned to at birth. So if you were born male, you would identify as male. If you were born female, you identify as female. So it's if someone who has been cisgender all their life from birth to now, how do you know you're cisgender? You know, what if you were to be deprived of something that was possibly associated with your gender, how would you feel about that? So, I mean, everybody's different. Everybody doesn't want to go through the whole hormone blocker surgery, hormones. Some people are fine with their body, and that's okay. And it's okay not to be fine with your body. But also, there's a lot of young people out there who have known from a very, very young age. And you don't just go to the doctors and say, this is how I'm feeling, I want hormone blockers. And the doctor doesn't just chuck out hormone blockers here and there.
Yeah.
They're assessed. They have counselling. And there's all these steps put in place to make sure it is the right decision for that young person, for that individual, to have these hormone blockers, because it does have a really big effect on your body. Not only that, it has an effect psychologically. So these steps are put in place to make sure it is the right decision, that they are safe taking these hormone blockers. So you may regret it when you're older. You may not. There is more than just this one case where someone has felt that they were not at the right age to make that decision. But the thing is, gender and sexuality, it changes throughout the years. You can be 90 years old and go, well, I'm transgender now. So it's not limited to age. There's a lot of pressure on young people to figure out their identity at such an early age. And it shouldn't be like that. You can change your identity throughout your whole life.
Yes.
Right, so we've had a few comments, so I'm just going to bring them up. Okay. All right. So, education representation of LGBTQI folk is so incredibly important. Question is so scary because there's a pressure to know who you are. Yes, most definitely.
That is true.
And then we've got a little continuation. So a comment, most people under 16 don't medically transition, and transition is so important for good mental health. A very tiny amount of people regret transitioning, but the media focuses on them. Yeah, I mean, do you think that's true? I mean, without having solid data from people who have transitioned, I mean, this is really new in medical science, isn't it? To actually understand it. So the people that regret transitioning, we perhaps haven't even seen the actual proper data for that yet, or the people that don't regret it, we don't know. We don't know yet because there's still an ongoing thing. I mean, do you both think that there should be an age limit anyway?
Do you want to go first, Owen?
Yeah, I was taking a minute to think about it. Honestly, I don't think there should be an age. Like obviously going through like different, when you're growing up, you're questioning yourself, and you're questioning yourself every single day of your life. I'm guessing that. I don't think there should be an actual age to sort of have the hormone blockers. I don't think. I'm not actually sure on the subject, to be honest. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not sure what my answer is.
It's a very complex question, isn't it?
It is. It's a really complex question. I'm not even sure myself of what I would prefer. I don't know.
It's a very complex topic, LGBT. You know, a lot of people are afraid to sort of bring it up, which is why I think it is really important to talk about these things and discuss them. And everybody has a different view on things. And I think it's important to focus on the individual rather than them in one group. You know, for me, I feel comfortable in my body. I don't want to change my body. So I won't have hormone blockers. I won't take hormones or have surgery, or not that I know of anyway. Because again, that could change. But I think it's important to focus on the individual, because if you look at the whole group, you are guessing on what that group wants, rather than there could be, say, 60% of people who don't regret the hormone blockers, but then there may be that 40% that do. And if you say, well, we're going to take the hormone blockers from all of you,
yeah,
then that's depriving that 60% of people of what makes them happy.
I get what you're saying. So we've had a comment: research from both parties is so important. The person receiving the hormone blockers and also the parent doctors helping them. I think so. This kind of goes into like treating people as individuals. Now, I completely understand what you're saying, Kat, but you generally in society, unfortunately, is you can't treat people as individuals because there's too many of us. There's too many people. Sorry, I've got to say a quick hi to Richard. Hi, Richard.
All right, Richard.
You can't treat them that much as individuals. So you always have to have these guidelines. So if we say in this case, which is very, very, very major decision about anything, should we still have a drinking age of 18? Should we still have a driving age of 16? Minimum driving age? Because obviously we can treat people as individuals, and some people might be more able to do it. But with something like this, I think, yes, it can deprive people of getting access to, something they really are sure about. But sometimes you just have to have an arbitrary age. And yes, it is really difficult to be under 16 and so sure of yourself. But yeah, it's one of them. That's why I'm on the fence.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from and stuff, and I hope that they've brung this up in the sense that it's there to keep young people safe, to make sure that they're not making a decision that they will go against sort of in later life. But then again, I think that we should support young people as much as we can.
Yeah, most definitely.
It is a difficult subject, and there's always going to be both sides that are going to argue it very, very strongly. And obviously, me being an LGBT person, obviously, I feel quite strongly about it. But I can understand, and I do listen to other people's views, which I think is also important. But also having that support put in place, because it shouldn't it should be initially that young person's choice, that young person's decision. But I think having a support bubble almost for that young person, having families, having professionals involved, but not letting the family and professionals make that final decision. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean the High Court did in the documentation did say that they were trying to put this through a safeguarding lens more than anything. So they have said that, but also I'm not a scientist. I haven't read that much into it, to be honest. But they have said that they see the puberty blockers as still an experimental drug almost. So they cannot predict all the long-term effects of that. But that kind of goes back to, transitioning, sex changes, identity is very new in our history. It's very fresh. We don't know how far down it's going to go. I mean, I'm all for it. I mean, people want to transition, people want to have non-binary identity, transgender, whatever. Just tell me. I'm a bit weird like that. Just tell me what you want to be called, and I'll call you. I'm fine. It's just but obviously they still need that decision down the line. Oh, we get all the hard-hitting news on Free to Talk TV, don't we?
Yeah, we do,
don't we? To kind of go on from that as well. There was some other news discussed in the BBC. Now it was pretty much a kind of extra bit they kind of tagged on. So there's been a review into accessible toilets in the UK by the government. And it's looking at and seeing an increasing number are being converted into gender-neutral facilities, which disadvantages women who have specific needs and already face excessive queues. So there was a few interviews with some women about this. I'm gonna have kind of show a bit of a stereotype here. Generally older women who were feeling like their toilets were being taken away, access to sanitary towels was being taken away out of these gender-neutral toilets, and also their safety and security was not being taken into account. Now, I've spoken about this with my girlfriend because she works in the theatre land, shall we say, and there's a lot of theatres that have already converted to gender-neutral toilets, but all they've apparently done is, so you had your gents' toilet there and your ladies' toilet there, is they've basically made both just gender neutral, but you can still only access sanitary stuff in the ladies, or what was the ladies, and there's still a condom machine in the men's, apparently. So it's not that's not being fully accessible, is it? It's being lazy. So what do we feel about gender neutral toilets in public spaces?
They are important, but also having men's and women's toilets are also important. Some people will feel comfortable just going into the women's toilets. Some people may just feel comfortable going into the men's toilets. But I know myself, I feel more comfortable going into gender neutral toilets. And I think as well, like, if you're going to have gender neutral toilets, have it accessible for everyone. So women, have sanitary bins, have sanitary products there, have condom machines, have stuff that you would have in both men's and women's toilets in that gender neutral toilet. You got to make it accessible for everyone, rather than, again, depriving not just both but all genders from basic needs. You know,
I mean, so Owen loves it when I bring this up, but there is a bar in town. there is an LGBTQI bar in town, and their toilet's been gender neutral for as long as I can remember. You know, it's over a decade at least, and it just is what it is. But I do know there are lots of other public places. Should we say, look at cafes, restaurants, bars, all that kind of stuff, that just don't have the room to do that. So have male, female, and gender neutral without causing mayhem and costing them loads of money. So I think that's kind of why the laziness kicks in and people don't do it. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, if they were forced to do it, obviously they'd have to do it. But if they're not forced to, because you don't technically have to have accessible toilets by law in pubs and restaurants at all. You just have to make reasonable changes.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
I do think that it's if they haven't got the space for it, at least take the time to make for both toilets to be gender neutral and have the facilities of like the sanitary wipes and the condom machines in both, because I don't think they're going to be as expensive as buying an extension to house a full-on proper gender neutral.
No, I want an extension, Owen.
Then hopefully you like to share your money around with the people that want to build it for you.
I wish I had the money, Owen.
Exactly.
I'd buy us all one. We'd all have our own private gender neutral toilet. Yeah. Just for our use, our own personal private use.
No, but I'm lighthearted. I'm lighthearted to say that if they haven't got the space to do it, or they haven't got the money to actually build one, why not just use a little bit of their profits that they are making to put in the effort to show that they do care about everyone? And even if it's just the two, then that's enough, because usually you can at least fit, I like to be reasonable to say, 3 people in each toilet. So that's 3.
What, in each cubicle?
No. No. Like you'd get like there's probably like 3 toilets already inside each like bathroom or anything like that. In restaurants, in probably some pubs as well, you'd get like multiple ones so that they can house a lot of more people. If they're both gender neutral, so 3 and 3, you've got 6 people that can go in each one.
Yeah.
Hopefully that makes sense. I'm not sure if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
I mean, Kat, do they have gender neutral toilets at the university actually on site?
Yes. So they have men's, women's, gender neutral, and disabled/accessible toilets. They don't have them on every floor. So I know in one of the buildings, the gender neutral toilets are on the ground floor. So I generally, if I'm on from the first floor up, I will use disabled/accessible toilets, because that's where I feel most comfortable. Yeah. And if that's taken, I will go into, say, the ladies' toilets, because the second to that is the ladies' toilets. But I don't know. I guess it's different for everyone, and I think it's also important to see, like, for a company, for like cafes and stuff, to sort of see what sort of customers they're getting. And just sort of ask, oh, hey, what's your thoughts about it? Because I know not everybody's going to agree with it. Not everybody's going to agree with everything. So I think it's important to see what customers they're getting.
I'm just thinking of all the times I've tried to ask British customers anything, because we're British. We kind of go, oh yes, that's a good idea, and then inside you're like, oh, but you don't say anything because you don't want to upset anybody. Just another comment. So gender neutral bathrooms are important. I know of many trans folk who avoid public restrooms in fear of being attacked for their identity if they do not socially pass as how they identify. Now. This is, there's an enigma inside a puzzle here, because so people that are transgender obviously fearing, and there have been evidence of people getting attacked in different restrooms of bars or restaurants, especially when alcohol's involved. But one of the things that came from the women I spoke about earlier was that they don't want gender neutral toilets because they don't feel comfortable having men around, because they don't feel comfortable. They fear of being attacked by men in that environment, and I do to an extent understand that, but I also feel it's an old-fashioned view almost, because when we had a conversation at one of our youth groups, because we had a few young people that have transgender, how they identified, and we had a big young leader meeting and went, right, our toilets here are identified male and female. Do you mind if the people that are transgender use whichever cubicle they feel most comfortable with? And do you know what all of the young people said? They said they didn't care what toilet anybody used. So whilst they were there, all the toilets became gender neutral. And I think there's an aspect of this where for a lot of young people, I mean, because I'm old now, really, a lot has changed in my life. But for a lot of young people, especially Kat's age and below, and going Owen and going to our young people in those spaces, I think they just accept it. Do you think that's true? Do you think there's a lot more acceptance from young people than there is from old people?
I think so. I think there's a lot more acceptance because of how they've been brought up in this day and age. Because, yes, in the older times... Sorry, James. Sorry, James.
In the older times when all this was fields.
Yeah. So, in the past, it's been very stereotypical. It has, but... Yeah. Now it's the 21st century, and a lot definitely has changed on how people speak, how people identify. I think it has become much more accepting, but obviously you do get those few people that are against it, and they're still, but they are the same age as us and they're against it. But I think a lot of young people do accept it now. I do think so.
How about you, Kat? What's your thoughts?
Well, I think the same. You know, you're always going to get that group of people where that small group of people within young people that disagree with it. And I think it takes a lot of time to understand and to learn all these new things that are coming about. And my mum has always said to me that, you know, for her when she was a young person, when she was young, being gay was just becoming accepted. And for my generation, and for younger generations, it's now starting to become that being trans or non-binary or whatever is starting to now become more accepted. And I think there are a lot of aspects that can sway one person from one opinion to the next. It could be something to do with religion or their own individual beliefs or the way that they were brought up, which is absolutely fine. I have no problem with that. But I think that should we not have gender neutral toilets just because, say, older generations disagree with it?
No, just older generation, just don't use them.
It's simple as that.
It's like I think there's a real issue here with people like, "What? I don't like that." It was like, just don't use it. Just don't go there. You know, like the gay bar I'm talking about. I mean, I like going there. Oh, well, I used to like going there when you're allowed out. But you know, because it's a nice fun place, and they do wicked karaoke because I love karaoke. But you know, if you don't like it, don't go there.
Yeah.
It's like I just don't get people sometimes. But you do have to change with the times a bit. I think. I think what you guys have said is good. I'm glad I kind of thought I was a bit right there with younger people kind of being a bit more accepting. I mean, obviously there's still going to be prejudice. There's still going to be some people that have difficulty with it, but you just got to keep moving forward, moving on.
Yeah.
So yeah, just to end our LGBTQ segment, if anyone's got any questions, please put them in the chat, or if you've got any future questions you want to ask us individually, like youth workers, you can obviously just message me on Facebook. Kat, you don't have a Facebook with us yet, do you?
No.
Oh, well, yeah, you know, I can direct you towards Kat if you feel more comfortable talking to Kat instead. But so, I'm going to move on to some brighter news. Well, I think it's brighter news. Oh, hold on. Just a little comment. I identify as a they, them, but have a feminine appearance. I personally use the women's bathroom when there is no gender-neutral bathroom. It can feel a little uncomfortable sometimes. Well, I'm glad you've shared that. Kat, do you feel more uncomfortable when you have to use the ladies' bathrooms rather than gender-neutral?
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah?
Totally. You know, when you go into a woman's bathroom, it's because it's gendered. As someone who doesn't identify as either gender, you're walking into somewhere that is being gendered, that has that stereotype of women standing at the mirrors doing their makeup or talking about boys or whatever.
Kat, it's just like that in the gents' toilets when I go in. You know, I do my makeup, check my hair.
What hair?
You're so mean to me. Sorry, Kat, carry on.
But yeah, and I think it's individual to everyone because, like, not everyone who identifies as non-binary or trans who uses female toilets, some people will feel completely comfortable. Some people will feel very uncomfortable. Some people will even feel unsafe, which I know is the case for some trans people. But again, it's different to everybody. Everybody has a different experience, and I think that's what we need to keep in mind.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, just say this. Hi, Casey. I don't have anybody in like my friendship group that I personally know that is actually non-binary. Actually, I don't know if that's my generation. I've got friends who are gay, but I don't. Anyone's actually identified themselves as non-binary. I might have to ask that of my friends and see if they've had any experiences. Because that's the thing. Because I'm also a bit older. I'm not like prejudiced or whatever, but I just don't think about it, and I should think about it more. Really, so I kind of understand. Like, because Kat, when we first had a conversation, you actually had to explain all the cis and stuff to me, which I still haven't got in my head because I need to do more reading about it so that I can understand it properly. Because in my generation, it was that they just worked out that you had homosexual and lesbian, and it's like, oh, there's two different types of gay, is there? So it's just a bit weird and funny. Right, so yeah, but thank you for those that have commented. But if you want to make any more comments, please do. But I want to move on to something a bit different. Apparently, we've got a vaccine. Yay!
Yes.
James can come out to play.
Yay! Eventually.
Eventually, yes. So it's been announced that the government have bought like parts of this vaccine from Pfizer's. They've bought some more vials from like the Oxford one that's been developed. They've obviously, the Tory government, because I'm definitely not on the fence about this, the Tory government have been saying, look at how well we've done. This is a great for British ingenuity that was made by Turkish scientists and provided by a German company. But so they've got this vaccine. How do we feel about having a vaccine? Do we feel good about it?
Yeah.
Yes. Very much so.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Right.
It's fantastic.
It is fantastic. I think it's a really good thing. Now, with this vaccine, the government, however, have put forward a whole kind of, when I first read it, it was like 8 stages of who's going to receive the vaccine. So at the front, it was like, at the top was like 80-year-olds and frontline NHS staff and workers. And it was like 75 plus, 70 plus. Then it was like 16 to 65-year-olds with acute medical conditions. So you're probably looking at cancer treatment patients, maybe, low immune system, that kind of stuff. However, because there's always a however with these things.
What's the however then, James?
However, yesterday, the government then said they were going to change when frontline NHS staff were to be given the vaccine. They weren't going to be given them first, but at a later stage. So I can just see Owen's face. It's like, you what? You what?
Yeah, I was going to...
Now, I've got a little bit of an issue with this because over 200 frontline NHS staff died of coronavirus, treating people because they came into continual contact with the virus. I feel that's a little bit off. What's your thoughts on it, Owen?
I think it's a little bit of a bad decision. Like, it's that NHS staff and elderly people over the age of 75, high on the list, because they've been in contact with the most front line,
most risk,
and and there's obviously they can't work every single day of the week. They probably have like different shifts for a space of 4 days. So no, well, I'm doing. In my defense, I've got a little bit of research for what I've had to do for this for my show, which is about NHS stuff. So I know a little bit about it and shift work and stuff. Obviously, Frontline's a bit differently because they're working on constantly. They're constantly, and they only get like a few minutes to have a breather and have a break. But since they're being connected with this virus, they should be at least minuted with it before they even go back on shift. Once they have access to it, all the frontline staff should be given a vaccine so that they can carry on working with people that still haven't got it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it stays how quick its effectiveness is, how quick the effectiveness.
I mean, the vaccine has been a very rushed affair, hasn't it? What about you, Kat? What clap for the NHS. Don't give them any vaccine.
I think that NHS and frontline workers, they come into contact with a lot more people than us as individuals do. And I think that they should be very high on the list. And the thing is, there are so many like vulnerable people out there who have very severe health difficulties. And yes, they should be high on the list too. It is very difficult to balance the two. But the NHS workers, you know, and it's like doctors. Although most appointments are now over the phone, they still see people.
Yeah.
They then go home to their families. Their families then go to work or go to school, whatever they do. And it's then not only, and then the doctors may pass it on to other patients, other doctors. And I think that with like nurses and other NHS workers, I think it's the same, because they come into contact with so many other vulnerable people that, because it isn't just if you go into A&E with a broken leg and you get a doctor or you get a nurse or whatever, how do you know that they haven't come into contact with someone who's COVID positive? If you go in with a heart attack, it's the same thing, because if you anything heart and lung related is very
I know the accident and emergency and stuff in Northampton in particular. They've had very, very stringent stuff like happen, where you're not allowed in if you're like the extra person, for example. If you've like taken someone to hospital, you can't go in with them. So yeah, but I think especially with nurses, because how many nurses are there to every doctor? Quite a lot. Quite a lot, because nurses do all the grunt work basically. So I think to deny frontline NHS stuff, that kind of stuff, is just ludicrous. We've had another comment. How is Boris going to say save the NHS, then refuse the frontline staff a vaccine, and then vote against a pay rise? That doesn't save them at all. No, it doesn't, does it? Have a clap. Have a clap. I mean, this is also Boris Johnson, who has said that over Christmas everyone should have a jolly good time, but also be jolly careful so you don't get COVID. And he had to say that from quarantine because he had to go to isolation again. You're not being jolly careful, are you, Boris? You flabbergasting flubberhead. There you go. That's me ridiculing him.
Yeah, we're talking about your favourite person again, James. Of course, you're going to have to.
Well, Trump's not on TV anymore, so.
All right, we all know that he's fake news.
Woohoo! Right, so we're hitting towards the end. I think I mean there's not as much local Northampton stuff. There has been an incident in the town centre yesterday and today. The police have been involved in an armed arrest, we think. So if you are in and around town, please be careful. We are still setting up the McDonald's in town as a meeting point, so you can still get in contact with us and book effectively like a mentoring in a safe space. So please do that. But Kat, this is your first time on Free2talk TV. So what we always do on Free2talk TV is we end it by each of us saying something really cool or nice, something that's happened this week that you've just been like, yeah, that's great, I love it, my life is cool. So Kat, what cool thing has happened to you this week that you've really enjoyed and you want to share with the internet world?
You put me on the spot. I don't know. My older sister, she made me a They Them badge. Actually made it herself,
Oh,
which was
Oh, that's really
cute.
cool.
She found one online and she was like, "Oh, that's great." Because it was like a rainbow with a cloud on either end, and it had they them in each cloud, and the rainbow was in the colours of the non-binary flag. And she was like, "Oh, that's great." But it come from America and it's like £11 postage. And she was like, "I'm not paying that just for a badge." So she went and she had a look online, couldn't find anything the same. So it was just like, you know what, I'm just going to make you one.
Oh, that's
So
wicked.
she made me one.
I think that's better though. I think that's much better that they've made it for you. That has a bit more of a nice personal attachment to it instead of just something you bought from online.
Yeah, it does. That's really
cool. You got it with you? Have you got it with you?
No, she hasn't finished it yet.
Okay.
Mate, it might be ready for a different Free to Talk TV event. And you
yeah,
can show
I'm
it
just
off.
thinking that because I think it would be quite nice. I think it would be quite nice to show everyone of the creativity that they can do to show their support to different things.
Yeah,
that'd be really cool. Right, Owen, what's been your really cool thing?
Oh, I don't know. It's been pretty cool working in college lately as well because I've got my show next week on Monday. So I've been
your show.
Yes, yeah, I've been working hard on that. I've just been working hard. So just one more, just got to do the show and then I'm free for the whole Christmas at last. Yay!
Woo!
But I think overall, I think my favourite thing I've done this week was probably the very first stream that we did on Wednesday of Star Wars Squadrons.
See, you can tell he's an actor because how much he did like the kind of pregnant pause and stuff, and had us like kind of, what are you gonna say, Owen? What are you gonna say?
Yeah, just the pregnant pause.
I thought you'd frozen there. Oh, what an actor. So we did our first Twitch stream, didn't we, for Free to Talk Gaming on Twitch. It went really well. Kat's not entirely a gamer, but you know, we've got our Twitch stream. It's all set up. We did our first one Wednesday, and yeah, it was really good. That's, to be honest, my great thing for this week as well, because I got everything worked pretty much all the way through until I had the wrong camera on, but.
Yeah, you had that wrong during the stream.
Yeah, I had that little issue. So Kat, just so you know, I'm playing the game and people can see what I'm seeing, but I had a separate, effectively like a slideshow where it's just my face and the chat. And I started playing the game and forgot to switch it over, so no one can actually see what I'm playing.
Oh, don't worry, they saw me die. But I bet you they could hear me die all the time, though.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, that was good. We've got a couple of comments about their favourite part. My pretty cool thing, I finally finished the first chapter of my book and got over. You've been writing a book? What?
Wow.
This first is really chapter. Cool. You'll have to tell us all about it. Maybe if you need some proofreaders, I do love reading. Kat, do you like reading?
I can barely write.
That's fine. But if you want a proofreader for anything, I love reading. I've lockdown for me has been
books and games.
20 odd books I've read since probably April, I think.
Okay, out of the 20 books, which one did you like the most? What was it called? Out of all the 20 books. Now I put you on. I'm now putting you on the spot.
I suppose actually, when I reread a series, right? It's a 8-book series, and it starts with, I think the first book is called When Duty Calls, and it's a sci-fi book, and it's all about this officer in this kind of futuristic army, who is always ends up saving the day by accident. Because he's a coward and he runs away from stuff all the time and accidentally ends up kind of saving the day. And it just makes me laugh. And it's by a British writer who kind of takes the mickey out of lots of other kind of British things like Dad's Army.
Yes. Okay, now you said Dad's Army. Now you said Dad's Army about that sort of thing. Yeah.
It just makes me giggle. Right. So, and then Richard's favourite moment of the week, finishing 2 units of your coursework for college. Nice one, mate. Well done. That's the news we like. That has been Free to Talk TV. I'd like to thank you, my guests. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Owen, for joining us. When we switch off, Kat, you don't go anywhere because we can continue to have a chat. Okay. Just afterwards when we go end the broadcast. But yes, thank you everyone for watching. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye.